All right, cool. So yesterday, we had some fun with, playing around with different scenarios. Harpreet, you brought up a great one with regard to, um, doing the Twilight open houses and what are great ways to talk to people and convert that into opportunities by just getting to know them better and also gathering more intel. So we can play more with that. If you guys want to play with some different dynamics, we can also jump into any other challenges that you guys are having first and foremost with converting. So I guess before we go off on any other tangents, what is top of mind as the biggest needs for the three of you, so we can maybe dive into some of that stuff?
Well, for me, I was looking at my stuff yesterday, and last month I really fell off on making my calls, to be honest with you. So I just need to step back into being consistent, making my calls, tracking everything. And I tracked everything, but I didn't stay engaged as far as my phone calls. So just to, making sure that I exercise that discipline, because I know that that's, going to be the difference between just like coming to these trainings. I'm here to stay engaged, to learn more, to talk real estate so I can, pick up a thing or two. So the more I continue to make my calls, not only will I get some some opportunities from it, I'll get sharpened. I'll get sharper as I go.
Yep.
So I just gotta I really just need to dig back in and making my calls. And one of the things that I'm adding to my prospecting this month, starting today, is I'm after we finish training and make some calls for the hour, I'm going to head to Richmond, and I'm going to drive around looking at some properties, looking for some distressed properties that I can write the address down and do the title search and see who's the owner, and try to reach out to the owner and see if they're interested in selling. So I'm going to add that bucket to what I'm doing, because I can't just sit on the phone and make calls either. So I got to do both, and I know I got to do both. I can't do just one.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
That's good. That's a creation of inventory.
Yeah.
When you create inventory, you create more opportunity, and then you leverage the opportunity doing all the things that we do, the circle prospecting, inviting, getting it out there on the market. And especially if it's a flip opportunity, you sell it to one of the investor groups that, will have you also list and sell it. Now you're creating multiple sides, and you're turning something that's ugly in a neighborhood into something beautiful.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like it helps in so many different ways. And what you brought up too also made me think of the conversation that I had with a new lead yesterday that I want to share with you guys. But I want to hear also from Sharon and Harpreet what's top of mind, most important needs for, what we do here from our 9:30 to 10 role play stuff.
I'd say for keeping the business, I'd say for me would be getting a system dialed down to where I follow up and I do it in different ways that is natural and very consistent. So I'd say for me, it's different than the talking points, but the follow up, I'd say I really want to get stronger in.
Okay, perfect. And in what ways do you think you need to be stronger with your follow up?
Being top of mind, knowing, I guess, which funnels to follow up with, like a text message, getting more systemized in KV Core.
Okay.
Really, I really think if I do that and I dial that down, it'll help me a lot more.
Okay, cool. Multiple different ways of doing that, because like with KV Core, having the buyer series and seller series keyed up and ready for the different people you're working with and having that going is critically important, because like I've had 3 people in the last 2 months be like finally ready, like, okay, yeah, I know you keep sending me these things and I'm finally ready to go from my passive system in KV Core. So that is very important part that, so like now we have a system set up where any new lead that comes in that I talk to, whether it's a buy side, sell side, or both sides, I have a Monday form because we use monday.com. And by the way, you can, if you ever want to have a monday.com membership, we can see what it costs to either add you to ours, or if you just get your own, because I know like Trisha has her own setup for the Silicon Valley team. Monday is so cool where, just like in Google, because by the way, you can make Google forms as well. But in Monday, we have these templates built out for tracking leads, where they're at in the system, whether it's a listing, a buy side. And when I fill out this form, it automatically adds them to the correct buyer board or seller board or both boards if they're doing both,
In KV
along
Core.
with some basic info and the notes. And then with those notes, it also is like, what is our next follow-up? And it automatically then triggers into setting up a Google Drive folder for a listing. And it also has templates, because like the systematic process to each listing starts with taking notes, doing comps, doing a suggestions list. Like now we've templatized as much as we can, so that all I got to do is put it in there, and then boom, it's into the system. If you don't have anything robust like that set up, or if you want something robust like that set up, we can definitely figure out and empower you to do that. Some simple ways for now are also, anytime you get a new lead, you make sure that you put them into KV Core and you schedule that next action. Like
Okay.
always, when you get it into KV Core, schedule the next task so that it's never forgotten. I've also gotten in a habit of the things that are like high priority, the stuff that like really needs to get done, and it needs to get done like today, tomorrow, this week. I add them to tasks in my calendar, and I have that list of tasks on my calendar open to where like I have 17 tasks that I need to accomplish today for people, in addition to meetings, in addition to phone calls, in addition to prospecting. So when you get things out of your brain and into a system that you can then follow like a checklist each day, it prevents things from falling through the cracks. And when it comes to the follow-up process, like text, call, email, like if you hit them with all three modalities, great. Also find out early on too, like how does your client like to be communicated with? You know, is it Instagram Messenger? Is it Facebook Messenger? Is it text message? Is it WhatsApp? Like some people have different ways. Like I try to get everybody on text threads, but not everybody's a texter. So it's, how does your client like to be communicated with? I would still, with follow-ups, call, text, email, because if they're not responding, you know, we want to hit them all different ways so they can see that we are engaged and we're really trying to work with them.
Yeah.
And if you're having trouble getting people to respond, that's what this 9:30 to 10 practice is for, is what can we do differently to trigger a response from them? You know, it's using the Phil Jones script stuff, which by the way, at the end of this month, I don't know if any of you signed up for or are going to Dallas for the Phil Jones thing. But
Wait, Phil Jones or the summit?
Phil Jones.
That's a separate
Oh.
one? It's
Separate. Yeah, it's $500 per ticket to go. And flights there are around like $400 or $500. And it's a 3-day thing. So you would need Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday hotels for the, because you arrive on the 26th, spend the night the 26th, because the event is the 27, 28, 29.
What month?
This month, like it's literally in 3 weeks.
Who's going to that?
Trisha, me, Rye, Chris. I'm not sure who else, because those are the only
Do you
ones
think
that,
it would be really beneficial to go? Like really? Harpreet, let's go. Let's go.
I can't afford to go both Tom Ferry and this. I'll go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and totally okay, because the reason why we're going is not only so we get sharper and better at this,
Yeah.
but this is also so that we can bring all of this training back, and we're gonna literally do trainings on this. So don't sweat it. If it's not affordable, don't do it. You need to invest in yourself and your business first. And yes, that would be an investment in your business to go and do that. But more importantly is making your calls every day. So kind of going back to Versy's point earlier, he knows he fell off a little bit. And that's why we're tracking and doing this, because I too noticed that my calls were falling off last week, which is why I put myself on blast in front of everybody. Like, hey, I've noticed, I'm down, because yes, I'm working on a ton of deals, but that's no excuse to stop prospecting. Like, there's no excuse to stop prospecting. I'm not going to accept from myself that because I'm busy working on deals, that I'm too busy to prospect, because if I'm too busy to prospect, that's when my business is going to die. You
And
know,
that's what happened.
yeah, exactly. So Sharon, if you want to take a look at or does that make sense, or is that already helpful enough to
That's
get
very helpful.
structured? Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Harpreet, what's your biggest need for conversion right now?
For me, it's harder to get open houses, which I know it's the case with everyone right now. So yeah, that's been a struggle. Used to be able to get very easily, and we used to have our own. So that's been kind of, because I really rely on those. And door knocking, I also fell off for the last week or almost 2 weeks. So I need to get back into it again, which I hope to go today. So yeah, just staying consistent, I guess.
Okay, perfect. And that's the thing, like giving yourself a swift kick in the rear to do the things that you know are prospecting driven, and keeping that prospecting mindset every day, like always making that a high priority. Because it's so easy to fall into life and things and get busy with other stuff. And it still is taking 10 times more prospecting than before to convert. And what seems like it might be a deal might not. So like the 17 listing leads that I'm working on, yes, a lot of them are turning into like real listings, real timelines, like things are moving forward. But some of those are 6 months to 12 months out. Some of those are a month to 3 months out. 2 of them are now gone, not going to be selling.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of them was the one that I met with on Tuesday. And in going through the financials and looking at mathematically, because you know how like it starts with the end game in mind?
Yeah.
Well, so she's already been out looking at property. They wanted to make an offer, but you know, Stacy brilliantly slammed on the brakes and was like, no, like you're a sitting duck. Like you want to make an offer on this, you've got to have your home on the market ready for sale. You're not going to be able to compete with other offers right now if you're not even on the market. Okay, fine. Send Michael over. Let's talk about listing. I go over there. I start taking pictures of the house real quick, just so we kind of start taking some notes. But then it's like, okay, cool. So this house that you're interested in, why do you even want to move? Like your house is beautiful. Like it's small, but they've managed the space beautifully well. They have 2 kids. And I was like, why do you even want to sell? Well, we need more space, and we were thinking about doing upgrades to our house. And, you know, we were looking at doing an addition. And when she described the addition, I go, so let me guess, right around 300,000 for that? She's like, yes, that's exactly what it's going to cost. I'm like, okay. I was like, you know, and I take it you don't have the cash for that right now, right? Oh yeah, absolutely no. And that's why I was thinking this would be the easy button if I sell my house and then I go buy this house. So sell my house for like 1.2 and go buy a $1.7 million home in the same town, just so they can have more square footage and another bedroom. Okay. That technically they don't really need, They just want.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, let's look at the math. You know, what's your payment on your house here? We start getting into the budget. What's your payment? What's your HELOC? What's your insurance? What's your taxes? Okay, cool. Their payments are a little over $4,000 a month with principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and everything. Okay. The $1.7 million purchase, they were going to go from $900,000 worth of debt. Actually, I think their payment was closer to $5,000. $900,000 worth of debt to $1.5 million worth of debt. And their payment was going to be over $9,000 a month.
Wow.
So their payment was going to double. Mind you, when looking at their budget, and I was like, hey, you guys, have a budget, right? Yeah. How much do you have as leftover cash flow right now with the way you're living? $4,700 a month. I'm like, okay, so if your payment goes up $4,700 a month, now you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
What happens if something happens to one of you and you're not able to make the same money that you're making right now? Oh God. Yeah. Rubber meet road.
Mhm.
And it was like, yes, could they afford to do it? Yes. But it's literally going to put them in a position where now they have no buffer, no room for error. And then with further discussion, figured out that that $4,700 left over is not really left over because there was other things
Mhm.
that were not included in the budget
Mhm.
that they spend on regularly. So we had this long conversation about financial health and financial wellness and financial planning that led to, oh my God, thank you. You just saved me from making a giant mistake. Like, can I hug you? Thank you. I can't believe I wasted your time. I'm like, it's not a waste of time. Like, I want you to tell all your friends and family what we do. We're not here just to sell a house. We're here to help you make informed decisions that are going to lead to your life being better. And your life being better, tell your friends and family so that they can experience the same thing. They know that they're going to get the truth. We're not here to just sell you something.
Mhm.
And
That's
absolutely loved it. And she's already working on referrals. And she runs with a circle of very high net worth, high qualified, amazing people. So doing the right thing first. But this is also why these systems and these pieces are in place of, I know they want to jump, but okay, let's mathematically look at what does that jump look like? Okay. And that's where if you don't have that readily available as part of your tools, part of your skill set, bring one of us in to help you. Okay. And then once you learn it and you get it down, you do it on your own. Because it's really some basic fundamentals of knowing what the average mortgage payment costs. I did not use anything more than a regular calculator. I did not get into the mortgage calculator or anything like that. I just know that the average payment is around $800 to $840 a month for every 100,000 financed. I multiplied that times what the new loan amount would be after looking at what their net proceeds would be if they actually sold. We just started with that basic formula that kicked off a whole conversation that led to, this is not a good decision to do this now. And in fact, after looking at their finances, I was like, you guys could be debt free in 2 years, and you could literally save up your $300,000 to do your addition in another 3 years. So in 5 years, you could do your addition, or in 10 years, you'll have $1.1 to $1.3 million saved up in the bank. You can just pay cash for your next house. You don't even need to get a loan. How does that sound? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. So is this still the decision you want to make? And they're like, oh yeah, we're staying. We're going to put this plan together. We're going to do a cash flow analysis and we're there. And I just cut ourselves off from a list side and a buy side, but that's because it was doing what was right for the client.
Mhm.
And it's going to yield a ton of referrals and it feels really good, but that's where I'm going with this whole conversation is everything that seems like it might be a deal right now, you've got to vet it out and see what it's going to look like. And you don't know the timing that it's going to go. Like I have 2 listings right now that, they're delayed getting ready to go to the market because the seller hasn't moved completely out yet. and we're still working through those things. So what seems like it might be a paycheck within the next month to 2 months might be 2 to 6 months out. If you look at most listings, for the amount of time it takes when you calendar out what it's going to take to be ready, and then from then what it's going to take to be on the market, and then from then what it's going to take to be sold and closed, that's usually a 2 to 6 month process for each listing on the fast. A lot of them are 6 to 12 months before they actually close.
Yeah.
So staying on the grind to constantly call and prospect and put more in is what's super important.
Yeah.
Another thing too is like a conversation from a call in yesterday. So Google business page stuff is working. Got a call in from a client yesterday who was looking at retiring soon, selling their San Leandro home and wanting to move to Discovery Bay because the daughter lives in Brentwood, and they want to be in Discovery Bay because they wanted something near the water, and they had questions about what this might look like. Well, when I call, I'm giving you guys this because it's part of script and role play, and how would you handle a situation like this? Well, I call Jane and her husband answers the phone, and I'm like, hey, this is Michael Gordon with E3 Realty. Jane called me earlier, left a message talking about, you know, retiring soon. You guys are thinking about maybe selling your San Leandro house and buying something in Discovery Bay. And he's like, oh, okay, well, she's busy in the shower right now. So I'll just have her call you when she gets out. Now, I didn't want him to just jump off the phone right away.
Mhm.
I want to make sure that I can throw out a lure and set the hook as soon as possible in order to build value and encourage them to be me that they're calling back, because they probably left a message for more than just our company.
Mhm.
Okay. So I don't want that business to go anywhere. So when her husband was telling me that, you know, she's the one that's calling and she'll figure it out, and I don't know if we're ready to sell yet, it's going to be another year or two, I was like, okay, great, no worries, there's no pressure here. You know, what are some of the things that you're working on to be ready to move?
Mm.
Oh, well, we just recently had our dishwasher leaked all over the kitchen floor, caused all kinds of water damage. So the flooring's been ripped up. We're just sitting on subfloor in the kitchen, and we need to replace the flooring in the living room area as well as some sheetrock. And I'm like, great, no worries. Like, hey, you know, just so you know, like, I work with projects and flipping homes all the time. I do a lot of renovation projects, and I'm happy to give you guidance on what to do versus what not to do, whether you decide to sell your home or not. I'm just here as a resource to help you. Oh, really? Okay, well, you know, I actually could use some help with that. You know, it got that conversation going there. I could use some help with that. So, but you know, we need to get all this work done before we're going to sell. We're not going to sell right now. I'm like, yeah, no worries. Like, whenever the timing works, that's fine. I was like, what were some of the things you wanted to know about Discovery Bay anyways? Like, why were you even interested in Discovery Bay? And then he's like, well, hey, you know, I'm curious, like, what's the weather like in Discovery Bay versus Brentwood? And I'm like, well, and I gave him a rundown of the difference in weather patterns and what it was like living in Discovery Bay versus living in Brentwood and things like that, to show him that I'm a local expert. And in doing so, he then started asking more questions. You know, oh, okay, well, you know, yeah, our daughter lives in Brentwood. You know, that's why we're interested. I was like, okay, yeah, great. So now it makes sense why you might want to move there. Yeah, we talked about moving there, but then COVID hit, and then, you know, now here we are. So it tells me that they've been looking for quite a while, and they didn't make a decision yet because they haven't heard enough to figure out if this even makes sense. So I'm still going back to, what else can I help you with around your house? Here's kind of the process I do with regard to walking your home and helping you, you know, do things like, whether you sell or not, but if you want some guidance on the things that are going to make your home more sellable later, here's what we can talk about doing. And so then he started telling me about his dryer vent and the way it was routed, and that they don't even use it because they're afraid of it starting a fire right now.
Mm.
Because it hasn't been cleaned in 35 years. They've been in their house for 40 years, by the way. Okay. They've been in their house a very long time. So the likelihood of them selling and moving is like slim, but they are on the verge of it. And they also were looking at senior living places in the Brentwood area, but they don't want to be in an HOA. So the more I'm asking questions of them, the more they're sharing with me why they haven't moved up to this point, the things that they need to resolve between now and being ready. And, you know, they're still just trying to they don't even want me to come over yet. And that's okay, because when Jane was done doing what she was doing, she actually did call me back, because I had such a good conversation with the husband that he's like, you need to call this guy. He's willing to help us with stuff. And so she did. And she, same MO, you know, kind of dodging and weaving. Everything I tried to book an appointment to go there, they didn't want yet, because we haven't built enough trust yet. And that's okay, because we're going to build trust through me being helpful in other ways. That I'm giving you the short version because it was a 40-minute conversation. Ultimately, where it got to is she's going to send me pictures and video of the areas that need work. And then I'm going to send them contacts of vendors, and I'm going to contact vendors and let them know what they need help with so they can get those things done. It's just part of we're building a trust and relationship. This actually also happened with a call-in as well, who just needed a referral to resources. Well, now the lady texts me every 2 to 3 weeks with a request of needing a different vendor or somebody to work with her. And these are all people that now go into the KV Core system. They're on the auto drips, they're on the auto follow-ups, which is keeping me top of mind to them, but passively.
Right.
And then as they're asking things and I'm giving them something in return, it's building that, hey, I do for you, I do for you, I do for you, because whenever it's time for you to make a move, you call me, or if you hear of anybody. And I remind people of that. So like, make sure when you're doing your follow-ups with people, ask every single person you have a conversation with. Like, who else do you know that's thinking about making a move? Who else do you know that, you know, wants information or resources like this? You know, keep that going, because you want to keep that prospecting bubble building and stay on that grind every single day, because you never know what's going to lead to. So like that lead, for instance, is now going to be somebody who might sell in the next 6 months to 2 years. And I'm going to diligently keep up with them every step until they're ready. And then when they're ready, that's another multiple sides.
Right.
That's a buy, you know, a sell, a buy, and possibly a small loan. Boom, boom, boom. But it's not a deal right now, which is why I have to call 50 more people to finally get to a deal. Okay.
Yep.
So I know today was just all me talking.
No, that's good, man. That's good. It's the
That's
first, and you know,
Good listening to
we're
you.
getting reset. So, you know, so we can, you know, do the work this month and
Good.
stay focused, stay engaged, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about as the days come, you know, with us after doing the work. You know, we'll have more topics to, you know, get some pointers on. So
Perfect. Then let's go at it again tomorrow at 9:30. And I'd love to get some practice in on, you know, practicing with asking questions and building rapport, and inserting, you know, Phil Jones-esque questions in order to, you know, get the conversation going in ways that are going to be fruitful.
okay.
Coolio?
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
All right. Have a great rest of your
Thank
day.
you, brother. See you tomorrow.
Have a good
Yeah.
day. Bye.